Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are subscribed, thank you. I really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, please do so and click the notification button as well. My name is Pumi and I upload every Wednesday and every Saturday, and sometimes on days that I do not expect to, however the Holy Spirit leads. But thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, I really appreciate it. Today I'm going to talk about how to run a full-time business while having a full-time job. A full-time job, we are assuming that you're working 9 hours, whether it's 8 to 5, 9 to 4, 9 to 3 p.m., but you have a full-time job, like your day is multi-spent in your job. And a full-time business is there's no off, like you don't go off, you don't switch off for 2 weeks or for 2 months, and you do it as and when you want to, and you don't do it as and when you want to. So you literally have to be on your toes every day. You have to be willing to be open to things that can happen anytime, any day, right? So I started my full-time business in March 2020. That is my full-time business. That is called 22nd Avenue. If I should mention, it's a PTY Ltd limited company. I started it in March 2020, right? That is the full-time business. I've always had side hustles because I would always go speak at places. I used to do people's resumes, and I also used to edit for people. But that was a part-time basis. Like I could reject a job anytime. I could say I don't want to. I could say I don't have time, you know. But now I have actual standing businesses that I am running, and I have a full-time job. So a lot of people struggle with this, number one, because we are looking at people who are running their businesses full time. And I say we because I am also running a full-time business and working a 9 to 5 job. So most of the time, the person that inspires you, or the person that you look up to, or the person that you wish to become and how to become, is running their business full time. And because they're running their business full time, you think that you can do what they do on a normal basis. I used to struggle with that because in the beginning I would be like, but I can also do that. Like, you know, when you literally see a person do something and you're like, I can do that, but you realize that you don't have enough time. So the first thing that you need to do, you need to identify what you need to perform. So for example, I'm just going to get my diary. I just want to take some notes here. Sorry about that. So number one, you need to understand how you perform, what you need to perform. So what do I mean by that? So for example, with me, no matter how much I exercise, no matter how much I eat right, no matter how much I read the Bible, pray, meditate, whatever, no matter how much I do of those things, the one thing I need to perform at my peak is sleep. So I need enough sleep in order for me to perform at my peak. So you need to identify that. You know, there are people who can literally sleep 4 hours and they are okay. I can't. I have to sleep 7 to 8 hours for me to perform at my peak. So my whole day at my 9 to 5 is planned around that. My whole day on what I do before work and what I do after work is planned around that. That is number one. So you need to identify that. Number two, you need to understand the type of business that you are in. So I'm currently, my full-time business is student accommodation. So I know peak times in the year, and that is for the one student accommodation. It is only in the beginning of the year, literally in February and March. That is peak year, but also a bit of January, because that's when some of the students are still unsure and whatever, and literally that's all throughout the year. The other student accommodation, because there are 3 months courses, there are 6 months courses, there are 12-month courses, how they work, I also need to adjust my schedule to them. So every 3 months, every quarter, every biannual, that's peak time. I need to ensure that I'm on my toes. So that's number two. So you need to identify the kind of business that you are in and what is peak season. For example, when you look at DJs right now, most DJs are on holiday right now, and that is because their peak time is December. So from November, you know, people's December starts in the long weekend of the 24th of September. So from that time until a time that's gonna be maybe month end October, they have time to play around and to not be doing anything. But November, December, January, they know that it's peak time for them. People are out and about, people are at places, and they are most wanted. So you need to identify that as well. You need to understand what is it, or what is the peak time for the industry that I'm in. And then you can only do that once you are in the business, right? Once you have literally started your business. And number 3, you need to ask yourself, at what scale do you want to grow? Because the difference between somebody growing at 600% and somebody growing at 50% is literally the amount of time they put in the business, the amount of cash flow they have, and the amount of marketing, a team that they have, marketing team, branding, all those things. So you need to outline that and say, okay, in 3 years time, I want to be able to achieve this. In 4 years time, I want to achieve this. For example, with me, my only goal as a property investor with students living in is always to reach full occupancy. That is my every year goal, because I don't have tenants who sign a lease of 3 years, or who sign a lease of 5 years, or who sign a lease of 10 years, at least not yet. But currently my students or my customers or my clients can only take a lease of a year maximum, you know? So I need to say, okay, every year my goal is to fill up the places. So you need to identify your goal. Why you identify your goal? Because your goal will then guide you into the amount of time and effort that you put on a daily basis. We need to remember that our lives are an exact result of what we do on a daily basis. Guys, you can literally check that how you spent your previous day affects how you spend the following day. That is how influential our daily lives are. Our daily lives are so influential. By the time you're 28, by the time you're 38, by the time you're 22, your life is a result of what you do on a daily basis. And for that, I would actually recommend a book that you must read if you want to know how to deal with your everyday life. Just try to read this book. It's called The One Thing by Gary Keller with Jay Papasan. It's a very good read. I got it at Exclusive Books. I think, Morningside. I got it at Exclusive Book Morningside. It's a very, very good book. So you should try to do that. And now you need to understand what is the thing in your business that you're struggling with the most. So for example, with me for the past 3 years, I struggled a lot with bookkeeping. Number one, I don't have background in it, and so I'm doing it myself. I'm literally just using an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm just tabulating expenses as I go, right? But I couldn't keep up, because then when it's peak time, it's that, plus it's my work. Guys, I have a job, a full-time job, and that is work, that is tiring. And you need to prioritize your work, because your work pays your bills, you know? So you can't say, I'm gonna leave my work and I'm gonna focus on my business. Yes, you can run your business in between. For example, when I do my posters and all those things on Canva, I do sometimes use my work hours to do some things, but some things require you to be there. Especially with students, there's a lot of breakings, like the shower door breaks and all those things. So those are the things that I need to keep up with. So my biggest struggle in business has been financial accounting, you know, bookkeeping. And that is why I took a course on accounting, and that is why I bought a book on financial bookkeeping for entrepreneurs. I should actually go get it. Let me just go get it. Sorry about that. I actually didn't plan to show you guys this, but because I'm mentioning it. And here is the book. It's called Key Financial Skills for South African Managers and Entrepreneurs with No Financial Background. Whenever I buy a financial book, the one thing I look for in that financial book is South African literature. It's very good to read books in dollars, because obviously one day we want to be paid in dollars and whatever. But I think for basic understanding, it's very important that we read books that are aligned to the South African context and that talks in rands, because I'm running my business in rands, at least for now, you know. And every time I mention that, at least for now, guys, it's because I have dreams. I have big dreams that one day I want to invest offshore, you know. I want to invest in other countries. I want to have properties in other countries. So the reason why I keep on going back and saying for now is because I'm talking in futuristic terms. Right? So those are some of the things that you need to ask yourself, that what is the one thing that you are struggling with? And then you need to ask yourself if you're willing to outsource it. Can the business afford to outsource that specific thing that you're struggling with? So with me, my business could not afford in the past 3 years to hire a bookkeeper, and so I had to learn myself and to do the books myself. I have like, there's literally a bag, I'll show you one day, it's very far. I have a bag, I think there's 1 million of slips that I've kept in there. So one day when I do get a bookkeeper, then I can just give them all that, and then they can just make sure that everything is in place and everything reconciles and all that. So you need to identify what is, because that's the one thing that's gonna make you demotivated most of the time. That's the one thing that's gonna make you feel like you're not doing much for your business most of the time. That's the one thing that's going to make you feel like you're not moving forward most of the time, because it'll always be lagging behind. You'll always be behind with your financials. You'll always be behind with bookkeeping. So remember, I'm making an example with the thing that I struggle with. It can be a thing that you struggle with, and you can decide what that is. For example, maybe your business requires a lot. I know a lot of celebrities go through a lot of court cases, you know. So imagine having to go through litigation without having any experience whatsoever and wanting to do yourself. That's going to overwhelm you. And that is why public figures and celebrities have lawyers that they pay on a regular basis. Like, it's literally on their payroll, because they go through that a lot. It just comes with the nature of the business, and they don't know, or they don't have acumen in that industry or in that service. So you need to ask yourself, what is it about my business that I'm struggling the most? And that is the one thing that you're going to spend most of your time in, right? And then you need to have a different life to people who don't have businesses, to people who are not trying to run a business, to people who are not trying to build an empire. If you have friends who expect you to go out every weekend, who expect you to spend money when you go out every weekend, who expect you to be available when they need you, you are going to run a business, but not as much as a successful business as you would want to, because you will need time. Because remember, you are working. I'm talking to a person who is working a 9 to 5. So you don't have time to be all that to everybody and still have time for yourself. Because once you're in business, self-care is going to be an integral part of the person that you are. Personal development is going to be an integral part of the person that you are, because business will crash. You will, like right now, the economy is bad, and if you don't have your grit and if you don't have the tenacity that you need to run that business, you're really going to suffer, because you are not standing straight and standing firm in to say, I have this goal and this is the goal that I want to push. And that is very important of the type of people that you hang around. I literally prayed. Like, I prayed to God. I prayed and I said, God, I want people who are doing what I'm doing. And not necessarily in property. No, that's a different conversation. You don't have to be with people who are in property as well, or in the exact same business that you're doing. But what you do need, what you do need is people who are in this kind of like the same industry. I'm not talking about mentors. Obviously, your mentors are people who are running their full-time businesses that has a corporate structure and all that. No, I'm not talking about mentors. I'm talking about everyday people that you can confide in, everyday people that you can talk and they understand what you're going through and they talk your same language, you know. So for example, I prayed for this person. I have friends, right? My one friend is in Durban. My other friend is here in Joburg. none of them have full-time businesses. These are my close, like the one is my childhood friend, like my day one, and the other one is my varsity friend, right? And then my childhood friend. And then I have a work colleague who's a friend, but she has a side hustle. It's not a full-time business, so our language is not exactly the same. And then I have this friend, now accountability partner, now friend, now sister. And that is simply because I prayed. Like, I literally said to God, excuse me for picking my nose, I literally said to God, God, I really just want somebody who gets it, you know, somebody who's in exactly the same pressure. And they don't necessarily have to be in the same business that you're running. No, she's not in property whatsoever. I'm not in the business that she's in, which is she's in beauty. I have to mention her name, by the way, Sianda Makofi, because I really appreciate her and she really deserves the flowers. So we went into this relationship solely for business. Talk about deadlines, you know, having accountability plans together. We have meetings now where we reflect and how do you move forward with the week, the month, and all that. But our relationship has gradually grown into business, into personal, I mean. So now we talk about romantic partners. Now we talk about what's this, church, we talk about God, you know, we talk about all the other things, but we actually even had to ask each other for permission to be able to have such conversations. So you need to decide what kind of relationship you're going to have with this person and how important is it. You need this, especially, I'm not sure about people who are running their full-time businesses full-time, guys, but you need to have this, especially if you're running your business if you're running your business full-time while you have a full-time job, because it's very much easy to be discouraged. You can come back from work having a bad day, your boss is not impressed with you, or you had a debacle with your coworker, or anything can happen at work, and that can literally make you come back home, because work is such a big part of our lives. That can make you come back and you feel so demotivated and you feel like, you know what, I'm not going to do any of this. I'm just going to tuck myself in bed and sleep. But if you have an accountability partner, some things you do simply because you have to submit, and not simply because you're going to do it for the sake of it being done, but you're going to do it because you did say that you're going to do it, and now you want to keep those promises to yourself. And part of marketing, in the marketing world, there's what we call about people actually perform better when they are being watched than when they're not. Well, at least some people. So you need to find yourself an accountability partner that is in the same lane as you, because if you find somebody that's not doing what you're doing, either or. So either you find somebody who's running a full-time business, they're going to make you feel like you're not doing much in your business, number one, because they have more time. And if you find somebody that's only a 9-to-5, whether they just have a job, they're going to make you feel like you're doing too much. You're going to feel inferior or you're going to feel superior. So you don't want that. You don't want to either feel less or to either feel superior, but you want to make sure that you feel that you are doing the things that you say that you're going to do with the person that you're discussing this thing with, right? And then last but not least, guys, and then you need to literally look at how are you leading your life. So leading your life, it means that for me, for example, I spend a lot of my mornings dedicated to my business and to my self-development, my self-improvement. You can't do self-improvement at work, guys. Like at work, it's crunch time, you know. In your relationship, it's crunch time. In your business, it's crunch time. Self-improvement is done a lot of it private, but this is not the video about that. So you need to decide what you do with your mornings before work, what you do with your day after work, and what you do in the weekends. That is where the big secret is. I spend a lot of my mornings during the week on my business, on my self-improvement, a lot on my self-improvement, just a little bit on my business, depending on the urgency. In the afternoons, I really don't have time for either or. In the afternoons, it's church, I have to clean up my space, I have to cook and all that. I have to prepare for tomorrow. So there's really not much time. So I don't really dedicate my time after work into any of development or serious stuff. Unless I do have time, then I'll be watching a video about content creation, YouTube, how to grow YouTube and all that. So if I'm tired and I don't have energy to do something productive, then I don't do that. But then weekends, that's when I put in the work, especially on Saturdays. On Saturdays, I will put in so much work into my personal development, into my YouTube, my content, into my business, because that is the time that I have no distractions whatsoever and I can say no. So I can't always be putting in sick leave at work, or I can't always be not going to work and all that. But Saturdays is my time. It's my time alone where I can put in hours into the business that I'm trying to build, into the brand that I'm trying to build. How do I ensure that is done? I make sure that on Friday, my apartment is cleaned, and that takes sacrifice. It's not easy to come back from work on a Friday and the thing that you have to do when everybody else is out and having a good time and after work drinks, and you have to clean, not because you want to, but because you know that if you don't do that one thing, the ripple effect that it will have on your productivity, that it will have on your Saturday productivity, and how you choose to run your business for the next week, the entire week will affect it. So those are the kind of sacrifices, guys, that you need to make. I wake up in the morning, half past three or 4 o'clock, and then I know that between that time and 6:30, I'm literally taking this video, like I said, in the morning, between 5:30 and 6:30, because work has to be done. These are things that need to be done. It needs to be delivered as promised. So you need to decide how are you going to sacrifice for you to make that time, and then you can do some edits or some troubleshooting, maybe in your workspace, during your workspace, while you're traveling, while you're driving. If you're not driving, you can that even makes it so much easier. And then you can have your Sunday, and then you can do what you want, self-care Sunday or Sunday for lovers and all those things. But if you want to build your business while running a 9-to-5, because you need to respect your employer, you need to respect the person that pays your bills, you need to respect your financier. That's what I call my employer. Like, he's just literally financing my dreams. You need to prioritize the time that you have when you're not at work, and you need to intentionally direct it into your business, so that you are able to not allow overwhelm and all those things to overcloud you, and at the end of the day you're running a business but you don't even see direction, you don't even have time to actually be building the business, and not just always troubleshooting and running errands and all that things. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and if you are, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Click the subscription button below, click the notification button as well, like, comment and share, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Goodbye.